Hello and welcome to the very first video of the Railway Files, where I'll be covering all the basics of making a model railway and including scenery, how to detail things like this little wagon here, and basic electrics to basically help a lot of people understand what making a model railway is like, which can be quite difficult at times. Firstly, we'll start off with the layout itself. It was bought in 2003 as a Christmas present for me by my great-granddad. And it's just basically a Hornby track map that I've followed a bit, but as you can see here, I have gone off a bit. But it's slowly developed over the years with more and more stuff being added. More buildings like these Metcalfe ones that I've built recently. And at the moment, it's an analogue railway, but hopefully soon I'll be able to convert it to DCC. I've only got 3 working trains on the railway at the moment, which is this Intercity, this Hitachi Blue Rapier by Hornby, and this Flying Scotsman here, also by Hornby, which is the original train that came in this box here in 2003 when Hornby, which I think made better things then. Recently I've been attempting to ballast like on this truck here, but as you can see on this truck it hasn't gone too well. It's got all in between the rails, so not all trucks move on it. So I've started again, and in the next few days I'm hopefully going to receive some cork underlay which I can put underneath. And then I'll ballast on top of that to make it good and proper. So I did use this foam underneath the tracks, which just didn't work really, because it was just too high off the ground and just made the trains unlevel sometimes. I've got quite a few buildings on the layout, like these Metcalfe corner shop and terraced houses here, and also this Metcalfe goods shed. I've started to get Metcalfe buildings because I find they're really good, and you can also put lighting in them really easily, which is what I have done, as you can see here with these wires. And they also look a lot more realistic, so they're a really good choice for model railways. Now the station is quite recent, but at the moment I don't like the platforms or the main station building. But at a later date you'll see me build these Metcalfe stone platform kits, which are quite complicated, but they are very realistic and really look good on the layout with all these buildings, with the benches and everything. It didn't come with a station building themselves, but you can buy a separate station building from Metcalfe. Although some of them have been discontinued at the moment, but we're a bit worried. I have got quite a few plans for the layout at the moment, because at the moment it is a basic 3 loops with just a little yard here. But here, as you can see, I've started to make a car transporter depot. And this will be a big town scene, like I've started here with all the houses. So there'll be like a church here, a few more houses around that edge there. And this will be the main entrance for it. And I'll have another car transporter depot here as well, along this side of the layout, where I'll also, when I've got DCC and removed these, I'll put a roundabout there leading up to the station, so people can like get on the train and go to a different place or something. Over here in this corner, I'm planning on putting a little pig farm, because recently I've got this little truck here, which I bought for £5, really good, in a little hobby shop in Suffolk. And I'm going to make a little lay-by here, put a platform with a pig depot thing, and then a little field with the pigs in, which I also bought from a model shop in Suffolk. Recently I found a very good little brake van, because as you can see this one here is getting a bit battered and old, so I decided to get a new one. This was bought for £9 in Pickering on the flea market, which I thought was really good because it's, if you look closer you can see that it is weathered and it is very, very detailed and with quite expensive metal wheels. Where the car transporter depot will be at the moment is a massively long lay-by, which hopefully I'll be able to link a bit more here, just a little point across there, so that it's easier to get onto the main line for trays. These trucks here are all quite old, but my favourite of them all has to be this one, because this one is quite a rare truck, because it is one of 1,500 in the world, and it came with its own small certificate, which I'm quite happy about. So that one's my favourite as well. The Flying Scotsman, which I have over here, which is the main train, comes originally with four teak-coloured coaches, which are very good. Well, were very good then because they came with metal wheels. But nowadays they always come with plastic wheels, so I'm quite glad I got them in 2003, to be honest. The Scotsman is getting old now, though, as she is 13 years old now this year. And she does not work well at all now, because she goes around the track for a while and then just suddenly stops. But my other two locomotives are very good, and they can go at good speeds around the track. I haven't really got a set time period for my layout, but on a later date I think I will have probably a steam theme to it, because a lot of the buildings here are around that period, and it's quite an easy one to do. The lights which I have in the buildings at the moment are not hooked up to anything, as I haven't sorted out anything to power them at all. What I need is a 12-volt transformer really, but I haven't got round to getting one yet. But when I do, all of these buildings will be hooked up to the electrics and should look very good. But along this little road here, it's probably not that visible from where you are there, but along here I'll be putting street lights, which I'll be buying from Layouts For You, which is a really good lighting supply for model railways. And that's where I'll also be buying the roundabout from, which also will have lights on it, because I want this layout to look as realistic as possible when I'm finished. And after I'd taken up all of the ballast that I'd done before, I noticed that the glue I'd used had actually damaged my level crossing here, which, yes, it's got delves in it there, so I'm going to have to replace that at some point, along with a few other pieces of track like the points, because the glue I used damaged them quite a bit actually. My most recent purchases would be this pig truck here, this really good brake van, which is really detailed, and this EWS truck, which hasn't had anything done to it yet, so which I might do on a later date, because it's not very realistic at the moment. Also, recently, I bought this Goodshed, which does come with two other buildings and a little platform, but I haven't built the other two buildings yet. And I bought this stone platform kit day before yesterday actually in York at Monksgate Bar Model Shop in York, which is a very good model shop. Stocks so many things and should definitely be visited by the model railway enthusiast. as you'll notice on the layout at the moment, it is in quite a mess because I've only just finished getting all the ballast off, and you can see it's still all scattered all over the track, and I haven't even put the barriers up for the crossing yet. I haven't really had any trains running at the moment because this is actually a board that does go away at some points in the year, so I do have to take everything off it at some points. So nothing is fixed down except the track. So, and these controllers, which is quite annoying at some points. So these videos will not be as often as more common videos online, like Everard Junction, but these should be good though. What I forgot to mention earlier was that I also bought a Hornby analog controller, the old type, because the new type are just not good, because they just cut out after a while of controlling. Either that was just odd with mine, or I don't know really, but yeah, I've got another one of these, because this here, as you can probably see, what always happens with these, a big problem with these, is that this top piece here always comes off the wires. So what I've had to do here is jam one in with the cocktail stick. So this, at some point, will be replaced, and I'll put the wires underneath the board and everything. And that, along with the big transformer, only cost £10 from Pickering Flea Market, which I thought was a really good offer. And so I bought it along with that brake van. What I started setting up the last time the layout was out was a little post-delivery section, and I have a carriage somewhere that is made for post-delivery. And here you can see the little adapter for the carriage to go over to drop its post off. So at some point I'll show you that in action, so that the railway will have a fully working postal network. I'm also hopefully going to try and fit in somewhere a little campsite. As you can see, I've got a little caravan and car here, which will look good on a campsite. Should look good on a campsite at least. Another thing I ought to mention about the layouts is I have one of these jars which is just full of all the odds and ends that have just come from anywhere on the railway. And it's tell you, do not throw anything away that you just take off the railway, because it may be useful at another date, which I have done, because in this jar I have extra couplings like this one, which I actually had to use yesterday when I lost one of my couplings. So this jar is a good thing to have for any extra bits, because then you don't lose some bits as well that you take off sometimes. Another good storage solution is these Purcell boxes here. For if you ever have any like really small stuff like grass powder that you use to add scenery, which I haven't actually used yet. But these are really good for like ballast, as I've used one for now. But so keep these for anything like that, because they can be very useful. Yeah, as you'll also notice, I haven't actually added much scenery yet. It's all just a picture on a piece of wood. But at some point I will hopefully get some grass so that I can make it more realistic. But this area here will look a lot different in a few years' time when all the buildings are there. It'll look like a proper town with a road that will go along here and everything to make it look like an actual... A thing that you should always take notes on is you should always, before you lay track, drill holes in between the points here, so that if you want to add a point motor in the future, you can then put one underneath, and then it can work by pushing them to either side. Because that's what I've done only recently, because just before I had started to add ballast, so that. Because if you didn't, then it'd be really hard to then get point motors underneath, because you wouldn't have drilled the holes, and then you'd have to take it all up and redo it, which would take a lot of time and cost quite a bit, I should imagine. This brings me to the end of this video, which will be one of a lot of videos that will come in the future, just telling people on useful tips or how to do things, and at some point I might even do a video of how to make a Metcalfe building, which isn't actually that difficult in some cases, but in cases like the platform kit, that is quite hard. So yes, please don't forget to like and subscribe underneath this video so that you can see a lot more videos in the time to come. I'll try and keep these videos often so that if you have your layout out, or if it is a permanent layout, then you can use these tips on your layout. So yes, thanks for watching. Goodbye.